We are back. Red Vents TV. It is your boy Kayo. I am joined by my boy Kaya.
Kaya Fire in the house, baby.
Yes. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. You're right. So I'm feeling good, man. Great victory today. Great victory today, man. And on my birthday, you know.
Sick. Happy birthday, my brother. That's what we're talking about.
They knew.
Very good present.
Yes,
good
my boys came through.
So this is our first one for the season. Right. So I just want to cover very briefly a recap of the last season. What did you think of the last season and the first couple of what would I say?
Trash.
Okay, fine.
Trash.
That's all you want to say about it?
Trash.
All right, cool. I thought it was I agree. I'm in agreement. I think Ragnick could have done better, but I think what he came in to do.
Oh yeah, Ragnick. You know what? I completely forgot about Ragnick.
And what about the only manager probably in our history to have an unbeaten record in Michael Carrick? Greatest manager of all time, brother.
Why are we talking?
Greatest manager of all time. So basically, he did all right to just hold on until Ragnick came in. Ragnick, whilst the football on the pitch wasn't great, I think he did what he was supposed to do. My boy was there to be like, hey, yo, this club is in some serious ish. You'll need to fix up.
Yeah.
I think he should have still been in place as sporting director or something like that. I think they did him dirty with that role that they had him do, and then he realized it was dirty, so he left. Not to mention with how the club is run, he's like, they're not going to give me a fair shake. They're not going to take what I say on board properly. So why am I going to attach my name to this nonsense? So he bounced to coach Austria.
I think the players, you know what? I think the players sort of treat him like a substitute teacher. You know, when like your teacher goes off on like maternity leave or something,
respect.
and you know, I'll be like, well, you know, the new teacher comes in, and whether the teacher's good or bad, it's like, well, this person ain't gonna be here.
No respect.
They ain't gonna be here for long anyway. So whatever, we're gonna treat them like true. Whatever. We don't care.
That's real true.
I think that was definitely the situation with him. I don't think, and because of that, I don't think he was able to get what he wanted out of the players. You know, the 4-2-2-2 system that he 4-2-2-2 system that the 4-2-2 system that he came in with requires a lot of attacking discipline. It requires a lot of fitness. I think that was where Oli let the collective team down. I just don't think that his routines in terms of fitness and his regimen in terms of fitness was where the players needed to be in terms of the Premier League. Or I think it worked for his system, but it didn't work for Rangnick's system at all. Like you could see that those guys were tired. You know, when he was running that 4-2-2-2 system.
You know what I want to say about that? I honestly want to say that I think is just as equally as much the players letting him down as he let them down.
Oh no, absolutely.
Why I say that is because in spurts and certain times you would see the type of football that he wanted to play. Like the beginning of each season, a couple of seasons that he was in charge, especially when he began, you see the type of football that we were playing, like what we did against Cardiff, for example. We just massacred them and played them off the park, and we were intense. We were high energy. However, when he tried that, it showed that pretty soon people were breaking down, getting injured.
That's the thing. It wasn't sustainable. It wasn't sustainable. Yeah,
exactly. So I personally think that he wanted to play that type of football. He must have tried to get them to get up to speed to that type of football, but they just didn't do it. Whether it was because they weren't capable, or they just weren't applying themselves,
or they straight up didn't want to.
Or they straight up didn't want to, because, and I'm inclined to believe the latter, and also some of them just not being fit for purpose. Simply because you look at some of the players now, especially first under Ragnick and now under Ten Hag, and the type of play they want to have. They now want you to play a certain way, and they're training you to play a certain way. And either you some of them threw the toys out the pram and they didn't want to do it, or some of them just weren't capable. And another example is, for example, and I'll call him out. I'm gonna call him out multiple times. Luke Shaw. Every time Luke Shaw has been challenged by someone for his spot, he's lost weight, he's gotten fit, and he plays intensely, with great intensity.
Yeah.
So it shows that he's one of them that just didn't want to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Maguire, for example, is
Malacia
just
swooped in and took his spot right quick.
easily.
Yeah.
And Maguire is another one, for example, that shows that he's incapable of doing it. He tries, but he's incapable of playing that type of football. So anyway, so I think we could kind of.
But which one between Shaw and Maguire gets picked for the England squad?
Oh, for Pete's sake!
Anyway, let's not get into all that. Let's talk. This is United podcast. It's not a.
So so basically not great, terrible finish to the season. We have a new manager. We've played what 8 games in the Prem so far. A couple of games in Europa League.
Liverpool, beat Arsenal. The only team to beat Arsenal. Everyone's beating
so
Liverpool
far.
Nowadays. An achievement.
Well, some people were saying that from
these Scousers, we hate you.
How's it feel? So what is the case of well, I mean, to be fair, some people would have said that from the get-go because they call it that Klopp syndrome, where he does well for a couple of tenures, a couple of contracts, and then there's some kind of thing that happens to his squads afterwards when they don't get reinvested in the way that, like, almost like a whole new squad.
It's an aging squad, man. It is an aging squad. It's an aging squad, and I don't think they did that. I don't think they did very good business this summer as well.
Not at all.
I don't think Nunez is a good enough replacement for Mane.
Not even close.
And I mean, to be fair, I don't watch enough Liverpool as well to I only the only thing the most things that I see about Liverpool I read from Twitter or whatever, but look, Van Dijk's having an off season, which I don't like to see him be dragged through the mud like that, because I actually really liked Van Dijk as a player, even when he was back at Southampton. It was Southampton, yeah. And I liked the squad that Van Dijk built. Van Dijk. I like the squad that Klopp has built. I like it much better than Pep Guardiola and Man City squad, but they're just impossible to play against now.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But yeah, they just I don't think they did great business in the summer.
They're in the mud, bro.
Look, man. If there's a team that knows about being in the mud, it's us. So. Sure. I definitely think Arsenal has taken their spot. They've had an incredible start to the season. I'm glad I'm glad that we were the ones that took that away. Yeah, I mean, look, Arsenal is good at Arsenal, but I mean, look, man. If anyone's ahead of City, I'm happy.
December is coming. Don't worry, they're gonna fall off. They have their thing. Listen, I had a beef with some rando on Twitter. We were talking about
Twitter beefs.
Just online, just talking about, I guess, something we played. It was a preseason game or something like that. Or was it the first couple of games actually, but that we lost when we started, by the way, for the season. And this guy just started to chat nonsense, an Arsenal fan. I was speaking with a Chelsea fan and a Liverpool fan, and this Arsenal fan just came in like, hey, yeah, well, we're unbeaten after 2 games. I'm like, bro, chill out. Arsenal is gonna Arsenal. We're talking about real teams right now. And then we had their game next, and then we whooped them. And then I haven't heard him since. Mm-hmm. So I firmly believe Arsenal is gonna Arsenal. Arsenal is gonna Arsenal. Chill. They're gonna pull on Arsenal at some point, and give people a chance to get back into this race. Yeah. So I think that let's look at some of these signings that we've had. That we've brought in. You have Malacia. We have
good signing. I thought it was a great signing. Came in very strong. Has definitely tailed off in the past few games, but I like that's sort of given Luke Shaw the impetus to step his game up, because it's exactly like you said. You know what I mean? He had his place in the team. He gets comfortable. He falls off a little bit, and then he comes back. But he comes back so hard, And I'm liking that element of that. I like that we have decent squad rotation as well. We'll get to all of the players, like you said. We're going to go through our signings and such. But Malacia, great signing for me. I think he's got great passion. I think a lot of these players need to adjust to the Premier League.
Agreed.
I think it was a great chance for Casemiro to get that today. I'm glad Casemiro got a full 90 minutes under his belt. He got the man of the match. I don't think he deserved the man of the match. I think Luke Shaw deserved the man of the match.
Agreed.
I think Rashford played fantastically as well, and I think Rashford would have got man of the match if that goal wasn't disallowed for. And please, let's not get into VAR. Let's not today. So that was Malacia, our first signing. Casemiro, an interesting side, because apparently he wasn't wanted by Ten Hag, which was what I've read. It was sort of, it was the Glazers saying, "Oh well, we need a big money signing to appease the fans. Let's go back to Madrid again."
Mm-hmm.
But I think he needed this. Like he doesn't play very well coming off the bench. Or he hasn't played very well coming off the bench. And like, if you're gonna
never had to.
Yeah, he's never had to. That's the thing. But the Premier League is a whole different thing. It's a whole different animal. So I'm really glad he got those 90 minutes under his belt. I think in the game today, there was no average. He either did everything brilliantly or he completely messed up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. But he learned. He learned today.
And he
definitely.
learned. I don't think he deserved man of the match. However, he got the assist. Great link up. We should have scored that header. He made a fantastic run for that missed header.
Imagine that, a goal and an assist in this match.
Well, which I think if he had gotten more game time, he probably would have put away. Yeah. So no, Casemiro, great signing.
If he had gotten a goal and assist this game, that would have been mad. Yeah. What an introduction. We got Anthony.
The €100 million man. Wait, I'm gonna listen. That's
with every cent,
I'm gonna say I'm gonna call him how Trace is it. That's my star boy right there, man. Listen.
What's his name? Paul Scholes said he seems to be a one-trick pony.
Well, look, man, and it was, I've forgotten who, I read this on Twitter, but I know they said they need to stop having pundits, ex players from the team that the pundits are reporting on that night. I think that, look, whether that was something that he took to heart or whether it was just something that Ten Hag noticed in that match, and then made sure he applied it in training. But I thought he tracked back fantastically today. He gets him and who was down? Him and Dallo worked fantastically together on that side of the pitch. He was, he really properly got back to the opposition box, made some great 1-2s with Dallo as well. Whether it was Scholesy that, he read that and took that to heart, or if it was something that, I think it's just something that Eric noticed in the game and said, well, look, this is something we need to work on for the next game. You guys need to get this together. I think he was tracking back more the Rashford as well.
He was actually.
Even though Rashi, fished us out of trouble in the last few minutes of the game where Everton were really, really pressing. They brought on Calvert-Lewin and, they would just literally just swing the ball into the box, see who can get a head on it. Oh my God, he's disappeared.
Ta-da!
But anyway, I digress. Anthony, the €100 million man, brilliant signing. First ever United player to score in his first 3 games.
It was ridiculous.
Honestly, worth every penny. And I think that we've missed that good old fashioned wing play. And I like that he's got the tricks, but he doesn't try and be too flamboyant with it. He mixes up his play a little bit. He'll try and take on a defender, or he has no problem cutting in. He has no problem trying to square a ball in. The way he cuts, it reminds me of Martial, when he started off, when United started off in early, the way he's coming from the right hand side. Martial would come from the left hand side and just cut in and whip that ball into the net. And that's pretty much been his 3 goals. He cuts in beautifully from that left hand side and whips that ball in. The €100 million man. Anthony.
So excellent. Right. So what of Paul Scholes? If this is what he continues to do, Paul Scholes would be right. He would be a one-trick pony in a sense. But if his one-trick is to score every match, I'll take that one trick.
I'll take that one trick, man. That's
Iron Robin did it. And Robin did it to great effect.
And you got players that are doing the most to absolutely no avail. So
What
if the guy's only good at
uh-huh.
one thing, but he does it as well as that, he's a goal a game. He's averaging a goal a
So
game, and he's had 3 games in the Premier League. Come on.
the only thing I want to see him do a little bit more of is holding that touch line and getting some more balls in. I've seen him this match. I think he did about maybe 3 times, and I want to see him do that a bit more. But I do understand that based on the players that we do have, how that isn't the main way to play with our team right now, because
Yeah.
when you have Martial and stuff like that, putting balls in for Martial like that won't work. Maybe Rashford, but you don't see him doing a lot of headed balls these days, or headed goals these days. And Ronaldo might be fast enough to even get into the box, and even when he's on the field,
baby, 700.
they're gonna try and double up on him. But yes, speaking of which, 700 goals
700
confirmed. Not this
700.
whole thing like Pele.
700 club goals. Club goals.
Legit club goals.
816 career goals.
Overall. I saw a stat somewhere saying that Haaland has to score 43 goals a season for the next 16 years
or something stupid like that.
In a row to just match him. That's mad. That's absolutely... Because this man did get like 50 a season at one point in Madrid, right?
Something ridiculous. Wait, he was at Madrid for what, 4 years or something like that? He was at Madrid for 4 years, 5 years?
Longer than that. I think it was like
longer than that.
9.
So it shows how much we know. But yeah, 450 goals for Real Madrid. That's insane.
And his
even if he was there, let's say he was there for 9 years, 450 goals. That's 50 goals a season.
That's more ridiculous.
That's 50. That's 50 goals a season. Yeah,
that's even more ridiculous. He was. I think he left us. The last time we won the league was in 2013.
2013. No,
and
he left before that. He left before that.
He had left before that because
that was the season that we brought in Van Persie.
Right. So I think he had left. The time before that was 2008.
Yeah.
It was 2008 was the time
that was the UCL. That was the UCL. That was the way we did the treble. That was the year we did the treble.
Right. So Prem was when after that.
We can get into the history later.
Yeah, but the point is, he spent the time that he spent at Madrid. He scored the bulk of those goals.
Yeah.
And to be fair,
to bag 18 last season in the Premier League in a Manchester squad, in a squad that was very disjointed and under a manager, but just under a completely different manager to what Ten Hag was, and a manager that wasn't a permanent manager. A very disjointed, a very not always very well motivated squad, and there was also so many leeches and rats in that dressing room. You know what I mean? I think yeah, exactly. I think getting rid of players like Pogba, like Lingard, who were later found out to actually be, the source, because there were so many leaks coming out of the dressing room.
And Dean Henderson.
Do you know what I mean? Exactly. Dean Henderson. I mean, I kind of feel like Dean Henderson got kind of a raw deal because he was like, well, you're going to be the new number one. But again, that's the boardroom not communicating with the manager again. But also, look, man, you can never write off David De Gea. That's, I mean, he had a great game today. I think his distribution the distribution was really good. He pulled off that fantastic save at the end of the game.
Channeled his inner Neuer. I don't know how.
And also the great thing about it is also seeing De Gea with not much to do.
That's true.
We finally, since the days of the Twin Towers of Vidic and Ferdinand, have a solid back four.
Seemingly so.
You know what I mean? And even with Moran being injured, Lindelof has stepped up. He seems to really pair very well with Martinez.
I think anybody pairs with a guy who would run through a brick wall for you, boy.
Yeah. I guess that's the next signing we've got to get into is Martinez. Brilliant.
So if you had to rate each one of them out of 10,
Mr. Too Short to play in the Premier League.
If you had to rate each of our signings out of 10, those 4 signings, because I think that's all the people that we signed that time that made the first team.
No, what would you Ericsson
rate? We did get Ericsson. So that's 5. Ericsson has superseded expectations in the sense that we expected, when I thought that we were in for him, he was supposed to be backup for De Jong. I thought that when De Jong wasn't playing or in the Europa
Oh
League or
God,
whatever,
yeah, the
that's
De
when
Jong
Ericsson would
saga.
play.
We don't need him. To
But
hell with De Jong. We
I
need
don't
him.
even want him. I didn't want it. From the time the man say, I want to stay at Barcelona, I was like, no, this is a
Cool.
whole
Then
different
let
regime.
it, yeah.
You can stay there.
You don't want to
So,
be here. Fine. We don't want
so
you. But
Malacia,
yes,
so far out of 10.
I'm gonna give he started off really well, and it was great to see that kind of when you get such fiery young new players in there under a manager that the players will bleed for. We definitely saw that with Martinez, Malacia, and Anthony coming in, and that passion that they really showed in the first game. Even Varane coming in, that first game and that game against Arsenal. Sorry, the game against Arsenal. There was that photo that went right of Malacia, like just he was, like standing crouched over like this, going, I loved that picture.
Love this guy.
But look, that's I don't want to get too long-winded about it, but he's had a dip in form. He came in very strong, but he was very disappointing in our last Europa League match. He was he was also quite disappointing in the game. What was the game we played before City?
Before City.
Yeah. I didn't get to watch the City game.
We did not play. We ended up not playing. There was a game we were supposed to play. It was Arsenal.
Although we didn't end up playing.
Then that we didn't end up playing.
Because
City
he was
next.
great against Arsenal. Oh, then it must have been in our last Europa. Yes, against Real Sociedad.
Sociedad, yeah, he wasn't great against Sociedad.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely think he came in strong. But I think he needs to learn the ropes of the Premier League. But he is, because did we offload Alex Telles?
Yes, Telles has gone to a Spanish side, I think.
Was that on loan or was that sold?
I think he's on loan.
Okay,
with the option to buy.
Research before we get into this.
Yeah,
you sprung this on me. You didn't tell me what was. I thought we were just going to talk about the game, and now you want to talk about the whole of Manchester United, past, present, and future. Anyway,
no, I just want to cover this thing.
So Malacia, I'm gonna give a 7 out of 10. I think he's a fantastic player. He's young. He's got passion. He's great. It's fantastic that he can fill that void that's been left by Alex Telles, and Luke Shaw's a fantastic, and he's forcing Luke Shaw to fight for his place in the team again, which is great. So yeah, I'm gonna give Malacia a 7.
Varane.
Look, World Cup winner. He's got the accolades. Another one we got from Madrid. You know what? I think injury problems is something that's a problem. And with. But again, but with with Martinez now there leading the back line, and Lindelof pairing well with him, I don't think his injuries are going to be as much of a problem. Like definitely last season when Varane was out, it was like, wow, we ain't got a chance. You know what I mean? Like, so look, it's I'll give Varane. I kind of want to give him a 6 just because he's so injury prone. I think if he had, it's another Eric Bailly situation where he'd be absolutely brilliant if he could just stay fit. I'm happy that Eric Bailly is getting more time at Marseille. By the way, I think he had a great game with them the other weekend. So yeah, but yeah, so Ericsson. 6 out of 10. Ericsson. I mean, there's the sentimental value about it, because I was not physically watching the game, but I was watching, the Nations League game where he actually collapsed and whatnot, and I was scary. But we all know about that. I haven't been impressed with his set piece taking. I don't think he hasn't been very threatening from corners. He hasn't been very threatening from the long-range free kicks, which he's been tasked with. Our conversion rates already weren't, coming, for the last few seasons haven't been great from set pieces. But yeah, I don't know. But he's clearly the guy that's been tasked with that, and I don't think he's doing a fantastic job of it. I think his shooting confidence is a bit down as well. But in terms of having a cool head controlling the game, I think it's and the fact that he was on a free.
Yeah.
So for that, and he seems to be staying uninjured, fit, healthy. So yeah, and for a free, I'll give him a 7 out of 10 in terms of signings.
Okay. And Anthony.
Anthony, I mean, brother, it's a big price tag, but so far the guy's show improving. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really watch Eredivisie. I knew nothing about the guy before he came, but he's living up to the hype. If we didn't pay 100 million, if we didn't pay 80 million pounds for him, it would be a 9. But because he had such a big price tag, which he is living up to, don't get me wrong, but then if City can buy Haaland for 60 million. So yeah, but 3 goals in his first 3 games. No other United players done that. I like his passion. So yeah, for Anthony, it's going to be an 8.
Cool. So I agree with everything you just said. I think the only thing I'd probably only give Anthony a 7.5, simply because I think that he just has some more of his game that he needs to improve on. Who are we missing?
Martinez.
Yeah.
Martinez. 10.
I would give Martinez. I would have given Martinez the 8, maybe a 9. Yeah, actually a 9, simply because of the, just because of the 2 games. Not the one game actually. Or actually no, the last 2 games. The one against City, and the one against this not was Omnibus. What was the name again? What's the name again? I forgot the friggin' name.
The Cyprian team.
The team from Cyprus, Omnibus. I'm gonna call them Omnibus. Yeah. So, but in terms of like, that's just room for improvement. But I think he has had,
in terms of
biggest impact
signing, 10
impact, bruv, from the smallest guy on the pitch.
Yeah, 10.
Ridiculous.
Absolutely, yeah. 10.
Ridiculous. I rate him to no end. I think on my end, I'm looking at how we're playing. Today, and what there's another game where we had a very good example. I think it was the 3rd game. It was a game after we had lost. It was after the Brentford game. Who did we play after the Brentford game?
That was the Arsenal game.
Yes, right. It was the Arsenal game. I think those were the best examples, and this match today was probably some of the best football, Ten Hag ball we've played.
Yeah.
And you can see what the manager wants.
Yes.
And I'm so happy to look at the team in such a way now where you have some form of confidence that at least there's a plan that we're trying to execute, and it could come from different ways. And in my opinion, with the right personnel and the right tactics, and of course the manager getting more accustomed to the league and getting what he wants and stuff like that, I think that we're a team in the way that he's building can go toe to toe with the big boys in this league.
Yeah.
I think that it's heavily implied.
I think for me, a successful season would be top 4 is going to be tough. I'm not going to lie. Top 4 is looking tough. Chelsea had a bit of a stumble, but I think that win in the Champions League last week this past week is going to do them really, really good. Sure. They've got money behind them, so, and I think they had a good transfer window as well.
I think they put another 3-0 past the team this week as well.
Yeah. Tottenham are looking good as well. It's going to be a real slugfest for those top 4 spots.
It's about who's performing
Arsenal's
better.
looking great. I know you say
6.
Arsenal's going to Arsenal, but I don't see them finishing outside the top 4 in this. So City's going to be in the top 4. So we're fighting for 2 spots pretty much.
They're going to finish 4th.
I think Liverpool, look, it's the beginning of the season, man. Liverpool can still make a charge for that during the second half of the season. Look, whether you think it can happen, anything can happen in the Premier League.
I know, but Liverpool's Europa.
So what I'm saying, but basically, I think a successful season would be for us to win the Europa League. I think it's definitely doable. And I think, going back to Ollie's day, I think that was the beginning of the end for him, because I think he really could have taken that trophy home. And for that to be our first trophy since Fergie, first big trophy, I what's his name? Van Gaal won the FA Cup, whoop-de-doo. But,
we did get the Europa under Mourinho.
European. Sorry, that's right. That is true. Yeah. So for us to win but it was a long time after
It,
that for Silva.
it would
You
be
know,
different though.
Mourinho got
To
the
win it
mini
with Oli would
treble.
have
You
been
know what I mean?
different.
Yeah, it would have been different. And we were so close. And I really think that the fact that Ole played for penalties and then we should have taken that game. Anyway, I digress.
Painful.
So I think a successful season for us would not necessarily be top four, because it's gonna be. I would love to get top four. So
I want top four.
I think an outstanding season for us would be winning Europa League and getting top four, and taking home one of the domestic cups. I think that would be an outstanding season. That would be an impossible in season, I think, for us. But I think for us to have a good season would be to win Europa League, make it to either the semis or the finals of one of the domestic cups, and finish within the top six.
That's kind of how I'm seeing it.
Realistically, that would be a good season for us in terms of brand new manager, an actual proper rebuild now, a really good gutting of the squad, getting rid of the players that we don't need, the parasites, the freeloaders and such, getting in players that the manager wants, finally getting the board on side for the most part in terms of resources, spending. I think it would also put more pressure on the Glazers to do a big update on the stadium, because that's absolutely 100% needed. Yeah. So anyway, that would be what a successful season for me would be. Yeah.
I think for me, mine is a bit more tempered. I think I look at the state of our squad, how we, I don't know if we refused or how improbable it was to do as Ten Hag asked or suggested, which was gut the team, get rid of 10, bring in another 10, that kind of thing, 10 players. And that means that we're, still in that process to get to that point where he's like, that's how you get implant a new nucleus of a team into a team. So I think, yes, I agree that I want to win the Europa League. I'm, however, not expecting it. I think because he's the kind of guy, I don't think he's won it before. When I think about it, I think that he's gonna have to learn. He's learning on the fly when it comes to that competition. It's a long competition. I think there's more games to have to play. And
I mean, it depends if we because they've got a new layout this year. So if you finish at the top of the group, you so basically the second and third place have to have a playoff.
Yeah.
So if we finish top of the group, which
could happen,
I think we can. I think we'll be a much more together squad for our next match against Real Sociedad.
Yeah,
it was I think it was his third or fourth game in charge. The game against Real Sociedad.
Is that a home game as well? It should be a home game.
No, we got beat at home by Real Sociedad. We're going to them. However, I think the squad will be much more together. The team will be much more settled. I think we can take it to Real Sociedad.
I think so. But we don't do well against Spanish side lately.
Well, look, man, I think we can top that group. But anyway,
I think so.
I interrupted you.
No, Sina. I think we can. But I'm leaving room for disappointment when it comes to somebody that's learning on the fly. That's dealing with a whole lot. I would want us to focus on getting top four. It's very, very, very tough. But based on how we've been playing, apart from Man City, we have a very good chance of beating every other member of that top six group. Meaning that so as long as we don't F up our chances with the games that we should be winning, the Burnleys, I don't even know if Burnley is still in the blasted league right now. Who are they?
No, Burnley got relegated.
Or is it? Am I thinking? Who am I thinking of? Nottingham Forest, and those beating the Nottinghams, and beating some of these other lower edge clubs, the Wolves and all of them, the Liverpools,
these guys hard.
Apart from City, I think we actually have a good chance because they're also some of the other teams. I'm realizing this whole thing kind of goes in waves, and Liverpool is in a downward trend right now because of the state of their squad and what they accuse what they accuse that happens to club squads over a period of time.
Yes.
Arsenal is on the up now because they've had the same system for quite a while, so they're starting to gel. But we've overcome them already, so it's a good chance.
And no one else has.
That we could do it again, and no one else has.
I'd be interested. They haven't played City yet, have they?
No, their next game, I believe, is City.
Their next game, yeah, that's going to be a good one. That's going to
It's going to be a good test.
Yeah, their next game is City.
Exactly.
Our next game is Newcastle, the new big money boys in town.
Yeah, they're playing decently. So that's actually something to they're somebody you have to look. They're not a walkover anymore.
No.
They just beat somebody 5-1 this week. They beat 5-1.
Oh,
Brighton. Brentford, not Brighton. Brentford. They busted Brentford's ass.
Yes.
So I think that, yes, I think all the games now are that much tougher. I mean, look at the run we had away to Everton today that we had to play. But
I think we bossed that game though. I really think we took control of that game. We did. You know, it was a great taken first goal, but they didn't have a sniff at goal for the rest of the game, except for that one save that De Gea had to make. We bossed that game, and I think that once our finishing gets more clinical, because Casemiro could have scored that game. Eriksen could have scored that game. That game should have ended 3-0, 3-1, sorry.
3-1 at least.
Especially looking at the handball that happened earlier at West Ham today, and also the other questionable VAR handball decisions given, in the Premier League this season. So that was a 3-1 in my book, even though, of course, the official records aren't going to reflect it. But, so Rashi was and should have been on the score sheet today. And I think that the more we play, the more we gel together, the more performances we put in like this, the more confident players are going to get. I can see Eriksen, once he gets his shooting sights right, I can see Eriksen scoring 5-6 goals this season. I can see Casemiro scoring 5-6 goals this season. I mean, if Anthony continues at a goal a game, I think now Ronaldo has found his shooting boots after that. After what happened in that was he just had a curse. But you know what? I just said in that last game in Cyprus, I just said, you know what? He was waiting for a better place to score his 700th goal.
I saw that tweet.
And yeah.
I think that
we got goal scorers, man. If Martial can get back from injury, but even if he doesn't, like Ronaldo came on and it was just a perfect like for like replacement, so Rashi's back on form. This team has goals in it.
I think that it does. I think that, but I do know that the team is work in progress, right? So again, with the case of this varying of form with each player, especially within that front four, because Bruno has not gotten, he's had a slow start to the season, goals and assist wise. So you look, I think everybody, I think that as this is a new situation for everyone in this team, it's not like, for example, where Arsenal now has gotten things so gelled so well that it seems like the team is sort of like peaking together at the same time, albeit in my opinion early, and they're going to fall off. But the peaking at the same time is something that every manager hopes for. And I think right now what we're going to have, as you were saying, and you said, we're going to have different players peaking at different times, and it might mean that it might happen at the wrong time where some players are actually down, players that we really need to rely on. And I'm still thinking that I'm leaving room for those things to happen, because I do think that those are the type of growing pains I realize you're going to experience when you're going through a transition like this. Arsenal has been through it up until now. Liverpool went through it until they started their recent success. Like they had that situation, because even when Klopp came in for 2 seasons, they finished 8th and 8th, right? So I think that we're still gonna have that type of growing pains. I think that a good season for us is top 4. A very good season is top 4, semis to finals in the Europa League, and I want us to win a domestic cup. FA or Carabao, Caribbean Cup, whatever you call it. But you're
also
I'm
a
prioritizing
pessimist.
League. Yeah, I know, but I'm prioritizing league, and that's not serial pessimist, because you just said it's so you don't think the league top 4 in the league is possible because it's so hard, and I'm saying I think it is. You know what I mean?
Well, also what Europa League is automatic. Win the Europa League is automatic qualification for Champions League too.
True, but to be fair, I only have faith in a man like Mourinho, for example, to win, to almost like as close as to guaranteeing a cup for you, and I will take that. I will take that hope. Only as something like that. I don't have that faith in Ten Hag just yet, simply because he has not done it. So I want him. I want him to prove me wrong. I'm saying I'm satisfied with semis or finals. If he takes us to the finals and wins, I'm like, cool. Next year, if we don't make top 4, it doesn't look like we could make top 4, and he's like, we're gonna do this shit again. I'm gonna be like, all right, you've done it before. I'm now going to believe that you can do this because you've done it. But until then, I'm giving what I think that this team, looking at what the team could give. I haven't even added in my opinion, what I believe him as a coach could bring to the table, because that's in some ways in that format, an unknown factor, right?
Yeah.
So I think that top 4, deep run into the Europa and winning a domestic cup, I would call a very, very good season. But top 4 for me is very important, because why I believe Ten Hag needs, and to me that's the quickest way to finding your feet in the league and understanding the league and being as competitive as quickly as possible. Because once you understand how to get your team as quick as possible as soon as possible in your tenure in a club into that top 4 picture, you would have built a blueprint as to how to keep yourself there and to continue to be productive and competitive in that area. Whereas,
look, I mean, I mean, I know the Eredivisie is completely different to the Premier League, but it's an area of the league that he's very familiar with being in. You know, he had enormous success with Ajax. I think that he can transfer that success over to the Premier League, and I agree it's going to take time. But
does the Eredivisie have a 6-team race like we do? Not to mention,
absolutely not. No. Listen, that's why I said, you know, that's why I started off with the Eredivisie is completely different to Premier League. Premier League is a completely different animal.
I'm not even trying to be a pessimist. I think I'm trying to be like real pragmatic. Yeah, I'm telling you, I think that's a very pragmatic approach when I'm looking at him and saying, well, yeah, you can based on what we've done so far. If in the first few games of the league, you're telling me we're the only ones that beat the league leaders right now, and we have shown good and the former league champions, and we got smoked by the probably what do they call them, champions elect already, but we can improve, and as fast as we're improving,
I don't even think we got smoked. That game, look, the game could have ended much worse. The game could, like, the fact that we pulled back those 3 goals at the end was.
We got gifted those. The man did 5 changes and changed the entire rhythm of his own team. It was just like, yo, we're so far ahead, we can take our foot off the gas. That's what that was, in my opinion. I would only say I would only give us one goal.
So you can cut this bit out, edit this bit out, because I didn't even watch that game. So
I'd give us one goal, and that was your boy Santos Anthony. His goal wasn't whether they wanted to play football with us or not. That goal was ridiculous. Nobody was saving that.
Yeah.
But the other 2, when Martial came on, the game was done and dusted, and he made 5 changes back to back, and just chilled. He brought on players I've never even heard of.
Yeah.
Basically, he brought on
disrespect
James Garner for us, or Elanga, like he just brought on those type of players,
Hannibal.
and that's how we. Now credit to us, we played. We played till the final whistle. Credit to us, we did that, and we brought back 2. And I think that it might have finished 6-2 if he had kept pretty much the same team. It might have even been like 8-2 or something like that. But the point of the matter is that team that we played on that day ran us off the field.
They're unplayable, man.
But the thing is, what I noticed with Ten Hag and I love that about him in terms of the physicality that he's trying to build into our team. And this is what I was saying when I did watch that game. I'm looking at how we're playing. I'm looking at the intensity that we could have, that we had in phases, but the majority of it didn't have. But also realizing remembering how we were playing in previous games, I'm like, we just need to hang with them for like 60, 70 minutes. Just hang with them. Might be a goal down, or 1-0, 2-0, or 2-1, or just hang with them, and then turn the screws on them for the final 20, 25 minutes and see if we can get some out of this game, because we are going to have more in the tank than they do, because we're accustomed, we will be accustomed chasing the ball, moving the ball quickly, fast counterattacking them and whatnot. What they're accustomed, yes, they're high intense with pressing, but that's just a very short period of time. And then they retrieve the ball, which they're very good at, granted, give them that. And then they pop the ball around and lull you to sleep and then score, right? In most cases. These days, to be fair, with Holland and that freak Holland in that team, they're scoring all different type of goals. So we have to think about that. But other than that, if we're able to, at that point in time, run that first 11 into the ground, and then go for the throat at the end of the to the tail end of the final third of the game, I think we could get something from this. And that's what I felt. I was like, so as long as we don't concede first, that didn't happen, we could try and hang with them for the majority of the match, and then try and drown them with physicality at the end of the game. That never got to happen. However, I did see glimpses of it when we got those last 2 or 3 goals, right? Because the same intensity or the same intent when we were trying to score or when we were playing in the previous games is what showed up at that point in time. Even with, and yes, it came from some of the substitutes that came on, but it showed that we could have that intensity in the 80th, 90th minute, which says a lot. If we could play the same way, the same intensity from the start of the whistle to the end of the game, you always have a chance. And that's kind of what we were always based on, or especially under Fergie. For some reason, I don't even understand how, we were always able to just have that more of an intense game coming down to the end of a match. And that's how we turned a lot of things around. So it didn't come about with that game, but I do see as a way of how we ride out games with teams that are just superior to us technically, or maybe even tactically. It's where our passion or desire and our training and our physicality outlasts that quality that they'll try to have over us over the length of the game. But all in all, bruv, I think we can leave Man City there. They are a freak right now. They are peaking and they're doing what they're supposed to do right now. They were missing a striker like Haaland. They've got a striker like Haaland. And I think I told a group that I was speaking to today, I was like, there's only 2 times as a Manchester United fan I've ever been scared of Man City. And that was when they got Pep Guardiola and when they got Haaland. And now those 2 things have happened. I've resigned myself to know that it's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better for us when it comes to that. They're going to continue winning some stuff. And that's where they were, because they now have the fear factor that we used to have.
Yeah, true.
You understand? So that takes a while to wear off. And so all we have to do is just focus on ourselves, get ourselves up to speed with the league and become competitive. And I believe that this manager can find a way to play in a way that we want to play and go toe to toe with them, and eventually challenge. So anyway, bruv, that was our take on, well, I'd say everything up until this last match, because this is the first one for the season. So I hope we get to have some more discussing more good performances, because it seems like we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, brother. All right, this has been Kayo and Kaya Fire of Red Vents TV.
Red Vents TV, baby.
Be sure to check us out on our socials, which will be in the description below. And we'll see you next time. Oh, and by the way, if you have any other comments on the match and the players and anything that we said today, please leave it in the comment section below. Take care, guys. Peace.
Peace.